Jersey. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a positive news story. What? Positive news story. Well, and you have a positive news story also. I do. We are going to have some positive news because in Lake County there has been a lot of negative stuff with going on. They've been having in the press, and you think things the city has been handing out to people in the press and other people that are lawyers and such had stapled in the back of it negative press. So here's some positive press and maybe something that a city such as Clear Lake can look upon as an example. The small ski town of Breckenridge, Colorado recently made national headlines after voters approved a measure to decriminalize marijuana use. And it is important to note that Breckenridge's success may not have happened without the example Denver set for the state by decriminalization the measure 4 years earlier. The rules on marijuana under state and federal laws have caught up with the will of the voters. A sensible marijuana law town is Breckenridge, Colorado. The following cities drew a blueprint for marijuana activists at the local level. Ann Arbor, Michigan, almost 30 years ago. Influenced by harsh state laws, Ann Arbor voters passed the marijuana ordinance of 1972. That's where they have the annual hash bash.
Can I cut in on that?
Sure.
I never got to make it to the hash bash, but the one problem with Michigan's initiative they have there is you can go to their dispensaries, so they only have 2, I believe.
Right. You just can't carry it from the dispensary to your house.
Yeah, so
you can't have it in your car. You can't have it on your person. So there's loopholes there. Yeah.
For sure.
And Ann Arbor voters passed the marijuana ordinance of 1972, which made possession of less than 2 ounces a $5 ticket. I remember in 1988 when the Grateful Dead played there, people were running around with a joint trying to come back with a $5 ticket for a souvenir to California. It took almost 5 months for the state judge to rule the ordinance unconstitutional, which resulted in the city council repealing the ordinance. A year later, the voters overruled the council decision by amending the city's charter to declare the city police had to send all marijuana cases to the Ann Arbor city attorney. The city attorney could not send the case to the authority for prosecution. And in doing so, the provision effectively denied state courts the opportunity to declare the measure unconstitutional, which had occurred in 1972. The same day, the reporting city of Yapasilia, I'm sorry, I'm probably saying that wrong, Yapacity, I can't.
Said it fine, it's perfect.
Yapsilanti. Alrighty, I'm not from Michigan, sorry folks. Adopted a similar measure in 2000. Ann Arbor passed an ordinance allowing the cultivation and the use of medical marijuana, which paved the way for Michigan's first statewide medical marijuana law in 2008. Also, I'm just going to go through these real quick. Berkeley, California, in 1973, Berkeley passed the Marijuana Ordinance 1, which forbid law enforcement from arresting people for cannabis-related crimes. 1971, Madison, Wisconsin, had been the home of the Great Midwest Marijuana Harvest. And in 1971, the Madison voters passed Ordinance 2320, which made private possession of an ounce legal when used for personal use in private place. In Seattle, Washington, Initiative 75 was passed by Seattle voters in 2003, which not only made marijuana the city's lowest law enforcement priority, but also set up a review board to see how things worked out afterwards. About 4 years later, in 2008, the board released their final review, which said that marijuana use, crime, and public health risk had not risen. In Columbia, Missouri, Columbia is the home to the University of Missouri and many local colleges. Over half the population possesses a bachelor's degree. They have set the max fine for marijuana at $250 with no possibility of arrest or incarceration for less than 1.5 ounces. Carbondale, Illinois has set a marijuana ordinance, as well as Denver, Colorado. So those are some examples that this city can look upon and
use
use and say, you know, this is what we need to do, because the way they had it written up now, it was so
Chaotic, crazy.
yeah, and preposterous. There's no, you know, like, oh, there has to be the testing of each little individual bud.
That's impossible.
It's impossible, and the things they're asking are impossible.
You
And
have
it was-
11% THC up to 25, 26%.
and not just that, to test for rocks or bugs,
Oh,
or just
right.
little things that weren't going to be there. You
We're
know,
trying to bring money into the county, not spend it.
exactly. And I'd like to remind everyone, December 15th and December 17th, come out and support your community. Come out to the city hall and let your voice be heard.
Yeah, we need you desperately.
Okay, Hempy, you got a song you wanted to sing, or you got some new?